given a gold shoulder cord, they call it, or it's a rope, right, that you wore on your left sleeve. The significance of that, if you think back or you refer back, back to your history days in either in high school or college, during that time there's a lot of desertion on both sides of the Civil War, right? And many of the soldiers were under the watchful eye of senior NCOs, and officers, because they would just leave at night, day, whether foraging for food, etc. The individuals, right, the E5s that are identified to be E6, were given this special cord and promotion as basically some symbolism of, here is your leash, if you will. It's now yours. You're no longer on the close watchful eye of your senior NCOs and your officers, because we trust you. We trust you to lead the other men and women in this unit. We trust you to be the technical expert of your craft, whatever that is. And again, it was different then than it is now, but the traits and the characteristics remain the same. Because you're given that cord, right? And obviously we don't wear it now. That historical significance is just so important, I think, to identify that we trust you, whether it's a process or a team that you're leading in the double deuce going forward, or your new assignment, to accomplish that well, right? So, little history there, lessons for everybody. I'm going to highlight a few pieces of each one of our muleys that are sitting up front that I think there's a narrative behind each and every one, and there's a theme to it as well. And one thing y'all will recognize, that each and every one of these muleys up here achieve, for one, great things in their career going forward, whether it was quarterly, annual awards, special awards outside of both the squadron group and wing, but also they have a balanced approach to their service. And what I mean by balanced, I talk about the heavy hitter concept and the double deuce, is that they're experts in their craft, both flying, but they're also hard workers and experts in their craft, leading in the unit, in garrison. We talk about that, because you have to do both. And it doesn't get easier as you grow in grade. So, Tech Sergeant Manny Manilaw. I've flown with Manny a few different times on missions, on locals. When I think of Manny, I think just period dot, he's a quiet professional. He embodies also the concept of servant leadership. If there is a tough task, if there's something that needs to be accomplished on a mission, a local, in the squadron, you don't have to ask Manny. He just is out there doing it. He's doing it with a smile, and he's probably building a team behind him as well to help out with whatever that is. He is someone who upstreams, I'm going to throw that term out and I'll use that more. He identifies the problem before it's a problem, right, and fixes it. And along the way, he's building that solidarity of that team, those airmen underneath him, to go along and do it and learn that characteristic and make that part of their culture, their personal, what drives them as well, and what we hold so high as a trading characteristic in the double deuce. So thank you for that. He's been with us for 6 years now. He's been NCOIC of awards, decks, booster club treasurer, GPC holder. I could go on and on. But he's another anchor of our culture, right? A foundation builder of our culture in the double deuce that I'm just so happy to recognize this day of all your accomplishments, but also, that promise going forward of your ability to go forward, lead, continue to be that technical expert, and grow to that next higher grade. He's revered for his technical expertise, over 2,300 hours, his instructional skills. He's been recognized at multiple levels to include most recently Flight Engineer of the Year for 2019. So just a myriad of accomplishments, Manny, that I'm just so proud of. I know this team is proud of each and every day that you go out and fly with us and serve in garrison. Next, Tech Sergeant Carl Avellino. Carl and I have flown also a few different times, whether it was on locals or missions. When I think of Carl, he's a no-nonsense heavy hitter. He embodies that heavy hitter concept, whether it's something being accomplished back in transition or training, or whether he's on the road leading other airmen around him. All those upgrades we've really capitalized on, whether it's, obviously the loadmaster piece to the engineer side. We talk about loadmasters a lot, but the engineer side, each one of those engineers that shows up as a first flight engineer is an upgrade the day they show up. And Carl's had a huge hand in upgrading each and every one of those since he got here 2 years ago from Dover. When I was just sitting here writing these notes, I was thinking, like, you know what? I think if we were going to track the days for when people showed up in the squadron from another unit and then they got on the road and they were packing the mission, I think Carl set a record. I remember you walking in the door with your checklist one day. I think 4 or 5 days later, it was done. And then a week later from that, after you accomplished all of your readiness items, IMR, etc., you were on the road. I couldn't believe it. I was like, Carl's already teaching. Like, yeah, He's crushing it. So thank you for that. You immersed yourself immediately in the double deuce culture, and that shared culture we have between the Pelicans on the East Coast at Dover and here. You just brought that right on over and made us stronger. So thank you for that. Again, recognized as Travis Air Force Base Warrior of the Week, 2,700 hours in the C5. Just another technical expert, another champion of what it is to be a hard-hitting flight engineer in the double deuce. So thank you. Stacey Terry. We just farewelled you on Friday, right? And I know you couldn't get enough of the double deuce. You couldn't quite leave yet. So we asked you to bring you on back and celebrate this momentous day with you and your family. This is a promotion as a direct result of, and I mentioned all those contributions you made to the double deuce on Friday for what you did here, right? And I talked about a foundation builder in our culture in the double deuce. You're 100% part of that. You're fully ingrained in every aspect of your time here at each shop, whether it was developing a new IP instructor flight engineer guide or upgrade guide for the first flight engineers, your work back in supply, whatever it was, you were there and you were assisting for whatever needed to be achieved in our mission. So thank you for that. I'm super excited for you going forward to the Grand Forks. You and Senior you guys are going to do great up there. I just know it. And I'm expecting a quick upgrade or a quick promotion to Master Sergeant because you're going to be a senior NCO, guaranteed. Okay, senior NCO, right? This is a huge deal, and I'm talking to many of the young folks in the room, and also some of the young officers, right? Coming from pilot training, really, I'm one, right? 16 years ago, I know I'm showing my age. That we have no idea, right, of how that relationship works and what really a senior NCO is and what their job is in relation to what we're doing also as a very young leader when you come out as a first lieutenant, second lieutenant, or even a young captain, right? It's a special relationship you have, and there's a reason it's a special relationship because there's a level of trust that you have with that much more senior and experienced senior NCO to yourself that moving the mission forward, if that bond isn't there, there's going to be fractures and failures along the way. Whether that individual is sitting at the panel or downstairs pushing pallets or back briefing passengers in the troop, if you don't have that trust built and it's not solid, the mission's not going to go forward. Another historical reference here. So this goes back to the 12th century. We're winding back, far beyond the Civil War. So the chevron, right? Everyone knows now. Promotion to senior master sergeant or to master sergeant, you're given a chevron, right? The significance of the chevron. So a master at arms, a lord, a knight, whoever it was who was in charge of a unit, then in the 12th century in Europe, referring to, handed was essentially one of his greatest soldiers or his warriors that were well respected as far as leadership skills, his technical expertise, and their ability to lead teams was given this chevron. It was usually a blue or a gold chevron, depending on what their background was. And what it meant was trust. Why? Because that chevron was the shape of a house. And really what it meant was, I trust you to protect my house. You're given this chevron because that level of trust is so high as your expertise as a warrior to lead teams that it's now yours. And you wear it proudly on your sleeve. That translates directly to what you're doing now as your promotion from technical sergeant to master sergeant. Is for one, you're no longer just a technical expert in your field. That doesn't change, right? Whether you stay whether you stay in C5 or going forward to the C37, you're still going to be that technical expert, right? But then the balance shifts and your focus shifts now to leading teams, right? Not only leading your team, right, like a technical sergeant would be expected to do, but leading other teams, bringing some solidarity and some extraordinary teamwork from each and every one of those other teams together to get forward the mission and broaden your perspective on what your purpose is. So thank you for that. That's the charge, and we're going to get to the senior NCO charge in a minute. But I know you all are going to fill that to the greatest of your capability, and it's going to be done well because you're muleys. Okay, Joel Bechtel. Man, we've worked together in ops. Goodness, it's been over 2 years, right? Moved out of ops, obviously, as the DO, but having Joel back there again, talk about trust. There was a level of confidence and trust I had when Joel was leading as the head of scheduling, that I knew the job was going to get done. The mission, Whether UCC was stand up and his assistants there, I just knew it was going to get done because he's someone that you can trust. The promotion to Master Sergeant, without a doubt, earned. You've demonstrated to me and others your ability to not only be a technical expert, but to lead teams. Whether it's, again, NCOIC of multiple shops, flight engineer training, I talked about scheduling as well. The unit fitness manager, right? We've all been there for the Bechtel workouts, right? And we felt, I like to coin the Bechtel burn, okay? So when we meet on Mondays, we're gonna get back to get into that June again once we're done with COVID. But when we get back together again, a lot of the new folks in the room are gonna feel the Bechtel burn. And when he shows up, he's all business, right? And that's the same way that he is, whether it's in a jet or in garrison during our time, obviously back in scheduling and now in training. Like I said, over the past 5 years, he's been the leader in multiple shops. He's been recognized as Red Irwin NC of the Year in 2019, multiple quarterly award wins, and then obviously this is another unique point. He's been an instructor at 2 empathy lessons. That's not easy, right? We only have a few of those in this room and in the squadron that can claim that, right? He's been a multiple empathy lesson instructor as a flight engineer. So that's something that also is an indicator of his capability to lead now, but also lead in the future as a Master Sergeant. So thank you, everything you've done for the Muleys and everything you're going to do for us going forward. All right, Dash. 11 years in the double deuce, right? I'm not going to name all the jobs you've had because you've just done them all, okay? And that's part of the reason we're like, all right, it's time for you to go fly some Gulfstreams. There's nothing else that you can do in the double deuce. When I think of Dash, I have to admit it, I think of those crusty Denver Broncos slippers that he's got. like even when I went out to the jet, and I met Captain Danny and a few other folks to give them some congratulations on some of their good news. I saw. Well, I guess it wasn't on a local, it was actually a mission, right? I grabbed you on Sunday. The first thing I saw were those god-awful orange and blue slippers that he was carrying with him out of the bunker. And I was like, gosh, how old are those slippers? I don't even know.
They have more hours than most.
Yeah. More hours. Yeah. It's gnarly. I don't even know what kind of gunk is crammed on the bottom side of those crew slippers. But that's what I think of when I think of Dash. No, but seriously, behind that amazing Tom Selleck mustache, and it's there, right? You didn't shave it off, so it's still there. When we get rid of the mask, you get to see it in the reception. But behind that amazing Tom Selleck mustache and that salty, kind of crusty exterior that Dash has, he is someone who just cares for his fellow airmen, right? When you get behind that hard exterior, there's a soft, loving Dash behind it. I know he's smiling, right? It's like, God, I'm embarrassing the heck out of me. But really, those of us that really know Dash, he cares for his fellow airmen. He cares for his fellow Muley. And if you look at everything he's done in the double deuce, it's made his fellow airmen better. Whether that fellow airman was an officer, right? Whether it was support, whether it was another engineer or a loadmaster, right? He made his fellow airmen better. So I see straight through that hard exterior, and I'm just super, super thankful for everything you've done going forward. Like I said, other than having every other job that we can offer in the squadron, been recognized as the Instructor Flight Engineer of the Year 2019, most recently a Dutch Heiser Award also in 2019, and a myriad of other quarterly awards, and we could go on and on and on. Again, the standard of the double deuce, the standard of muleys is excellence, right? Good isn't good enough when excellence is the standard, and that's our standard. And these excellent airmen, NCOs, and senior NCOs you see in front of us embody that. So, without further ado, what do you say we make it official? Do some punch and pin it. Sound good? All right, let's do it.
Thank you, Colonel Trumbull. Airman Steve, please go forward. I will now recite the responsibility of a senior airman. Senior airmen commonly perform as skilled technicians and trainers. They begin developing supervisory and leadership skills through progressive responsibility, completion of Airman Leadership School, individual study, and mentoring. Senior airmen strive to establish themselves as effective trainers through the maximum use of guidance and assistance from officer and enlisted leaders. They may serve as first-line supervisors upon completion of Airman Leadership School. Now, Airman Key will be presented with his certificate of promotion. Sorry.
It's all right.
Okay.
To do that, you're clear to take the mask off.
He will now have his stripes pinned on by Colonel Trumbull and Sergeant Enlisted.
All right, we'll go into the comments. Yeah, well, we're doing a little different. We're gonna do the. No, that's fine. You do it then.
No, it'll be on the sleeves. It'll be on the
We'll do
sleeves.
sleeves. We'll do sleeves.
Because they don't want to kill them by punching them.
Yeah. That's a 5-finger death penalty. We don't wanna have that.
See, cares?
Three, 1, 2, 3. That's the first.
Thank you for the opportunity. I'm excited to go to the next level. It's another level of my life. So thank you for letting me be here and earn this title.
Sergeant Evelino, Sergeant Annabelle, and Sergeant Terry, please come forward. I will now recite the responsibilities of a technical sergeant. Technical sergeants are often their organization's technical experts. They continuously strive to further their development as technicians, supervisors, leaders, and mentors through professional development opportunities, including Air Force and Joint Enlisted professional military education. They should consider broadening opportunities through special duties and the development special duty selection process. Technical sergeants must complete non-commissioned officer academy prior to assuming the rank of master sergeant. Now Sergeant Evelino will be presented with a certificate of promotion.
Slide.
Thanks.
Will now have his stripes pinned on by Sergeant Bechtel and Sergeant Gibson.
Y'all want Tyson or Mayweather?
We got a Dodger.
I'd like to say, but first and foremost, I'd like to thank my family. I think they're viewing there on Zoom. Without them, I wouldn't be able to do all these cool things that our Spartans has been doing. And I'd like to thank my Muley family, for continuing and doing those cool things. And yeah, I appreciate the support and pretty much guidance of our leadership. And it's been a fun time. Y'all be safe.
Now Sergeant Annabelle will be presented with his certificate of promotion. Sergeant Annabelle will now have his stripes pinned on by his wife Casey and Sergeant Espinosa. Ladies and gentlemen, it is my honor and privilege to introduce you to Technical Sergeant Pierre Manuel.
My wife for putting on TV so much. much and being broke on the road. And I thank Muley family leadership for giving us opportunity to innovate and change how we operate. And that's it.
And Father Chief Master Sergeant.
I really appreciate it. It's weird seeing people in the room again. And like, as I said on Friday, look at everybody. I only know like half of the people here now. I want to thank my wife first off, because for the last 5 years, being also a military member and taking care of 2 kids while I got to go travel around the world and party was just, but exactly. But not just that, but like the last year and a half of me being in training, she's been holding down the house with 2 kids. So I could not say, yeah. You've been nothing but a headache. I literally could not have done any of this without her because of the responsibilities that she's had to pick up since I've been gone. And then my Muley family giving me this opportunity, as I said on Friday, that excellence that you guys are allowing, or that you guys are fostering most of my peers, and going into the enlisted pilot position, it was actually one of the people in this room was on the board when I got selected, but looking at my APR compared to many others, I'm sure it was an easy choice. So thanks to this squadron. So thanks to you guys a lot. Appreciate it.
Sergeant DeAngelis will now recite the senior non-commissioned officer charge.
In the United States Air Force, a master sergeant joins an elite group. The term sergeant is an denotes a person possessing skills, trust, and ability. You are now you have mastered the techniques and abilities required of non-commissioned officers. As you progress to senior master sergeant and chief, your title will change as a senior non-commissioned officer. You are afforded privileges awarded to others, and you have free accepted responsibility beyond the call of normal duty. You have, by your actions, performance, earned the respect. As a master sergeant, your entire way of life will change. More will be expected of you. More will be demanded, not because you're a master sergeant, but because you are a senior NCO. You have not merely been promoted one page, you have joined an group dedicated to taking care of those. As a member of this group, you have a responsibility to those senior NCOs, even as they have a responsibility to you. At this time, NCOs, past and present, please rise and join Master Sergeants Bechtel and Dash, reinforcing solidarity within the senior NCO Corps. Cohesive team. You are charged with ensuring the personnel which you are responsible for are technically trained and qualified in the appropriate level PME courses to acquire leadership and management skills. You are charged with remaining alert to detect trends and provide feedback to commanders, immediate supervisors, and officers. That enlisted members are treated fairly by all activities, both on and off base. In a thing, in Sergeant Beck, you accept charges.